Hi.
That's such an interesting name. So where are you from originally?
Well, I'm Haitian, but I was born in Belgium, and before I came to New York, it was like I went to Switzerland and Paris, but I was still a baby. I came like when I was like 1 year old to like New York, and I've been in New York ever since.
Oh wow. And
Yeah.
so whereabouts in New York are you based?
All over the place: Brooklyn, Flatbush, Coney Island, Long Island, Harlem. Yeah, I've been I've been hopping around.
Oh wow.
Uh,
And so who are you hopping around with? Was it family or?
Oh yeah, family at first and then solo, like I'm doing now, basically. Yeah.
Wow. And so what was that like hopping around your whole life, like for school and things like that?
It wasn't uh, it wasn't that bad actually. I liked being in different parts of New York. I'm like one of those people that like easily adaptable to different places, so it was like just a learning experience every time I went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Haiti.
Yes.
Have you been back?
I haven't been back like maybe like in 10 years actually. But I used to go all the time. I used to go like during like summer vacations. Used to spend like a month or two, maybe like 15 minutes of electricity for 2 months, you know? Yeah, like unless, you went to some place with a generator or something like that. But yeah, it was nice, just like, like simple living out there. Yeah.
Wow. And so you have family still there?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
And so what is it like when you go back? Do you feel like you fit in? Is it like home or?
Yeah, there's no like weird feeling you know, of being away. It's like I never left wherever I go, you know? Even when I go back to like my mother's house like in Long Island, it's like we don't miss a beat, you know?
Mm,
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
yeah. And so do you have any siblings then or?
Yeah, I have two older brothers and a younger sister, but I'm like the only like nomad of the family. But it's pretty spread out. Like one of my brothers is in Ohio and another one's in Chicago. Sister's in Brooklyn. She just recently like moved back home, but yeah.
Wow. And so do you miss your family then with you traveling around all the time?
It's I feel like with technology, it's like FaceTiming all the time. Like it doesn't feel like I'm really missing like that, you know. You miss like giving a hug or something like that, or if you like miss a certain situation. But I just like left Bali like in December so I could surprise my mom actually because January 8th is her birthday. So like she seen me at the door and she was just like taken aback when she seen me. So I try to make it for like important situations, but we like text and like call every day. So it's a pretty smooth transition.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
guess you're kind of used to traveling your whole life as well, right?
Yeah. And whenever I feel guilty, I'm like, my mother was left Haiti and went to Belgium and came to New York. So I'm just living like, continuing their tradition.
Yeah. And so what would you say was some of your, I mean, was it all perfect or what were some of the challenges that you faced along the way from like traveling from such a young age?
Um, I didn't really feel any obstacles really. Maybe like towards more recently I had obstacles. I just got my luggage back that was lost. I usually always do like one bag travel, try to be as light as possible, but this time I was like, let me do a checked bag. It wasn't there when I landed in Bali, so it was like a long process of trying to like locate it, but I finally got it back yesterday, which is good. But I like take all the obstacles in stride because there's always like some kind of travel issues. Maybe your flight is delayed. New restrictions put up that you didn't know of. So yeah, it's just like baseline baseline stress. I don't like get worked up over anything like that. I just take as part of the game. Yeah.
And so how did you develop that kind of mentality then?
I don't know. Always been pretty laid back. I've been meditating for a couple of years. So people sometimes they meet me and they go, "Do you meditate?" And I go, "Actually, yes, yes, I do." And I always think about like the history of the world and all the like issues that everybody's gone through, and I'm like, if they could do it, I could do the same thing. Like this is just like a timeline going on that I'm repeating that has been going on for centuries. So I never try to take any like issue or problem that goes with me and like internalize it so much to make it like I'm the only one that's going through this situation, because I know this is like just a regular part of the program. Yeah.
Beautiful. And so I want to talk a little bit about your career, because you're a photographer, you're a creative director, you're an investor.
Yeah.
So how did you get into all of those things? Maybe we start off with photography and then creative direction.
Well, with photography, it started when I was recording a mixtape, and I wanted somebody like to take a picture of me, but I couldn't like get somebody to take a picture of me, so I was like, I'll just do it myself. So I took, like promo pictures, and then people started like gravitating to my photography, and I was like, I guess I'll just keep it going. And being like in a circle of creative friends, we just got together and we kept it going, like in connection with like musical acts or just any solo projects I would do. Like I've done like, pop-ups like in Amsterdam and some in New York, like selling, photography books. I try to keep it as independent as possible, because I feel like in this era, like a lot of people wait for cosigns, but I think that like with technology, like the independent route is like the best thing that you could do. Because it just takes a little bit more work. And I think that when you're willing to put the behind the scenes work, you'll like get success like 10 times than if you just lay back and then try to have somebody do all the work. Yeah.
So that was the same for the photography and creative direction?
Yeah, they come hand in hand, because I've always like had a creative like spirit, just like, oh, this would be cool. So yeah, it all comes together. Basically, if it's not my idea for myself, I just like, hey, you know what would look good for you? Or, I've always done that with friends, so I just decided to like monetize it at the time. Yeah.
What was your first camera? That one that you took the picture of yourself?
Nah, wow, I don't even know what it was, like some like Sony Cyber Shot kind of like point and shoot kind of thing. My first like official one was like a 5D Mark II, and that was like my introduction into like DSLR photography and being like a professional, photographer. Yeah, but since then I've used point and shoots, Yashica, Super T4s, Contax T4s, G5s. It sounds pretty nerdy, but yeah, I've gravitated toward film a lot because I kind of like the texture and how it I like strayed away from like Photoshop and filtering. I wanted like to give people like reality of it all. Yeah.
And so how long have you been doing photography and creative direction?
I would say maybe like 12 years, I would say 12, 15. Sometimes there's like periods of like, going away from it, going back to it, but I would say like, yeah, like a good solid like 12 years if you put it all together. Yeah.
And so how do you keep those creative juices flowing then?
Well, now I try to like surround myself with like content that inspires me. Like I feel like the Tumblr era was like the best because it just had so much. It was like a creative platform, and I would always be inspired by things like that. And also, like even now, I was like, how can I make my Instagram feed more Tumblr-esque? So I started, following more like art and photography accounts so I could get into that zone. Besides that, I just try to tune out away from like the digital life, like just go out in the world and let life inspire me. Yeah.
And do you have like a specific style, like street art or wedding photography or?
I feel like I'm just like a jack of all trades, but I'm not gonna be like the one that's gonna shoot like your baby shower or wedding event, Like whenever somebody hears you're a photographer, they're like, "Oh, you could do this, just because you have a camera." And I'm pretty much more like portraits, I guess lifestyle, but like with my, I guess, like gritty edge to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you were traveling, because you've been traveling forever,
Yeah.
like how do you actually sustain yourself? Is that through photography or?
Well, it's more the creative direction now because you could like outsource the photography as long as I get my vision out there. I think that's like the biggest thing. Like I don't have to really like click the shutter. It's as long as I got the direction, which is pretty cool. It took me a little time to figure that out. Like, no, I have to take the picture, but you find people that have like your same mindset and your same like, aesthetics or can just carry out your vision, and it opens up a ton of opportunities. Yeah.
Speaking of opportunities, you were recently on a Netflix documentary?
No, I wasn't.
No?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
It was a parody that my friend made.
Okay, tell us about this parody.
Because I don't know, I always like call myself like the Black Forrest Gump because I just get into situations, and he was like, you should make a documentary like based on your life, and he like sent me like some footage of like one of my pop-ups, and he was like, he made like a little make like a little trailer, and I was like, all right, that's cool. I'll go with it. Yeah.
I love it. Did you have a lot of people messaging you about this Netflix?
It was crazy. It's funny. Like everybody from New York knew, but like everybody from outside New York, they were like, "Yo, so when is dropping?" I was like, "Oh no, I'm not. Not anytime soon. We'll have to like put all this stuff together." Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that's like one of the things, like having like creative friends. You just have like fun like that, like make videos or like send each other like freestyles or like what you think it is. So yeah, that was like an example of one of those. Yeah.
It's kind of like not taking yourself too seriously in this.
Yeah, I think taking yourself too seriously, it means that day one, like to have you stressed out, especially if it's connected to your creativity and it feels like a job. I feel like that's not how life should be lived. It should be, you should never lose your inner child, basically. Yeah.
And so how do you stay motivated then?
Just by talking with my friends, basically. And they'll send me like, oh, I'm working on this, or I'm working on this. I'm like, all right, cool. That's like the biggest motivation, to tell you the truth. Yeah, just like being in a group chat and us like just throwing ideas at the wall and going with it. And then we like help each other like improve or like say, nah, that's not it, Yeah.
And so this is approaching the second year in Bali? Or?
Yeah, it's the second year of Bali. Yeah, I like it. Out of all the places I've traveled, this seems like a place where I would like set some semi-permanent roots. The people are great here. It's easy to meet people, the most easiest than I've ever, connected with anybody. Centered around wellness and community, which I love. the nature is great if you want to, be in Canggu and walk the beaches, or be in the jungle in Ubud. It opens up a lot of options of how you want to live your life, basically. Yeah.
And you're not in the Canggu area right now, are you? Like, where are you currently?
I'm in Ubud. I'm in Ubud with the yogis right now. Yeah. It's a little different from Canggu. I've been in Uluwatu too. I feel like it's more Uluwatu vibes, where people go when they're like tired of like the party life, and they just want to like just chill out and like get into their meditation or get into their ecstatic dance, you know. But each place to me has like a little place in my heart, because Canggu is like great just for like the social aspect. Uluwatu for the serenity and the sounds of the waves if you want to surf. So I'm not permanent on Ubud yet, but I'm still feeling it out. Yeah, and that's another great thing. Like, you have the option to go around. Like, being in America, there's a lot of like 1-year lease, and you have to like make so much plans for the future. And I feel like human beings are more dynamic, and we come from like going across the land and being hunter gatherers, and like the civilized world is like kind of wants you to like stay put. But I feel like more and more people are coming back to like their natural sense of roaming and exploring. Yeah.
And would you say that you're spiritual, religious?
I would say I don't know, people call me a robot because I'm so logical. So, but I guess like meditation has really, it opened my mind more, because, those quiet moments, you just think about the bigger picture, and it's kind of like a break from like all of the noise. So I guess you could call that spiritual. I'm kind of like, I guess you would call me heady. I like to think a lot about the world and the different gears and cogs that make things work. Yeah.
It's a really interesting balance, because usually people are one or the other.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be both.
I like to be open-minded. I don't like to shut anything out. Except vegans. Nah, just kidding. Vegans don't kill me.
You're definitely in the wrong place. And Bali. So what's dating life been like for you then, as a nomad?
Dating life? Well, I don't know. Dating life, Bali is a totally different experience than everywhere else, because you just meet so many people. It's been pretty good. I like the aspect of meeting people from different countries. And even here, like, if you meet somebody that's a foreigner, you get to connect on that level. Or if you're with a local, you get to get like a behind the scenes or a deeper understanding of the land. I was always like joking whenever I was with a local, like, foreigners, their like Instagram is like so spiritual and stuff like that. And then like a local be like, oh yeah, I just went out drinking like tonight, Like, I feel like people come to Bali and they try to like just encapsulate it with like a spiritualness, but it kind of gets muddled in the process of, I don't know, I guess like commercialization of the land. I don't know if that's PC to say, but I'm keeping it real. And that's when, like, you could tell when people are here because of maybe like a YouTube or something like that, and they come with an expectation instead of just letting the island, meld with who they are, Yeah.
So pretty solid dating life then.
Oh, it's pretty solid. I'm not complaining.
That's awesome. So, oh shit, I just forgot what I was going to say. Do you see yourself settling down at any point?
Like relationship wise.
Anything wise, like settling down in a place, settling down with a partner, kids.
I'm just so curious about the world that it's not like in my near short term future of like settling one place. I love to travel, and I'm just like, I guess like during the pandemic, books has been my way of like exploring while I've been, locked down. But I don't rule it out, but it's not like, I don't see it in my 3 to 6, month timeline.
Yeah. So if you could, you said that you love to read a lot. If there was one book that you would recommend that anyone should read, what would that book be and why?
It would be The Slight Edge, because it's basically a book that tells you that you should just do a little bit each day towards your goal. And once you like break it down to those little morsels, everything becomes easier. And that's how it is with life. People just like see like the success and they think that everybody's like overnight, but it's basically you just do one. I could equate it to like a video game. People like play video games and they'll play it every day until they reach the end. And it's all about little steps, like going through mistakes, and life is just like that. If you focus on something and you just knock it down, like say you like even you want to like lose weight, you're like, let me just walk around the block today, or let me just do that for a month, and then you just get into that groove and you get into a flow. You're like, all right, maybe I'll run a mile. You do that every day, and everything, catches up, and success is not that hard. I think it's been so like made into like mysticism that like, oh man, if only I had this, only I had that. But I think everybody's capable of success if they just first focus on what they need to do and like delete some of the things that don't take them towards their goal. Because anything that's not your goal is basically you're taking a step away from it. Yeah.
And what are you trying to accomplish right now?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. That's the politician. Right now, I'm trying to actually see how I can run my the clothing portion of my brand, Bootleg, and from being across seas, because I was basically like a lot like very hands-on in New York with doing it, but I think I'm going to try to do like more outsourcing of like production so I could get it to more places. Yeah, so basically having like a little streamlined workflow is probably like my main thing right now. Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And so ideally, like when would you want that to like kind of kick off?
Probably I always give myself more time than I'm needed, so I'll say like in a 3 month span, because I don't like to feel like that pressure. I give myself a slight edge runway, I guess you would say, so I don't feel like I have to like get so many things done, even though I like keep like OmniFocus on my iPhone, so I always see my tasks. So I always have it, on my mind. Yeah.
So maybe part two. Maybe part two once that's kicked off in the next few months. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
I have one last question, and it's basically for those people who they're watching this clip of you now, and they're just like so inspired. They're a photographer or a creative who is wanting to just take that next step. Maybe someone who's wanting to travel, but they're just a little bit afraid.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give?
I would say just do it, basically, like Nike, I guess. You have to just, my trick, like I used to be like introverted and like shy, and I'm like, I'm just gonna fake it until I'm that person, So I'll go to the party even though I'm like, I don't really feel like talking to this person, or I'll network, It's just like, you have to be your own like your own cheerleader basically, and realize that everything's not as big of an obstacle as you're making it. Just buy a ticket, get on a plane. It's very easy. All the hardest things in my life turned out to be very easy right when I did it. It was always the build up in my mind, like, damn, what do I do? Will I have enough clothes? I don't know anybody there. But once you do it, it all works out. Photography, buy yourself a camera, no matter, it could be a little cheap camera, just start shooting. Travel, just buy the ticket. So you basically take away all of the anxiety and all that negative energy and just put it away and just do it. And what's the quote that I heard a couple weeks ago? Oh, mood follows action. So you just do the action and then it'll guide you in the right direction. And that's like one of the quotes that I'm keeping like dear to me right now. Mood follows action. So just act first and let it all fall into place after. Yeah.
Amen.